Welcome to In the Know with Steph and Joe. We'll be going live in 20 seconds. Welcome to In the Know with Steph and Joe. In the Know with Steph and Joe is all about small business development. These two entrepreneurs bring real life experience, laughter, and, well, just a ton of knowledge on how to build your small business and make it thrive. It's your creation. Now learn how to make it sing. Of course, In the Know with Steph and Joe is brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Restoration One. Give them a call at 847 264 4664. And of course, our good friends over at Steph's Bookkeeping. And you can check Steph's Bookkeeping out just down the hall from here, or, rock it out to, www.stephsbooks.com, which is good, and she'll give you the the number here in a second. And of course, we cannot forget our good friends over at Epic Media. When you're truly authentic, there can be no competitors. With the continued growth of technology these days, it is essential that you have an effective internet marketing strategy in place for your business. Whether you need a custom website designed or help integrating your social media accounts to your business marketing program, call us because they're the best. epicmediainc.com. Today, you're going to notice that when we're talking about office culture, we have the true Turner in here with us, Carrie, the head Turner.
Hi, head turner.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you. I said I was going to put on like the hat with the sunglasses up top, maybe grow my beard out.
Well, you had a hat on when
I
you
did
came
have a
in
hat
the green
on.
room.
Yeah, I should have kept it, but it was like, I don't know.
It was
Yeah.
itchy.
It just was holding my head in too tight. I
I hear
got too
you.
much big stuff coming out. So,
So we were kind of chatting in the green room, and we wanted to talk about office culture, the good, the bad. We're hoping that some of you guys out there will also share some of the stories, some of the things you like about your current culture, things that you don't like, and anything you don't like. If you want it to remain anonymous, you could always private message, and we'll read it, not including your name. So
Yeah, nice.
but yeah, so one of the things that we were talking about is why don't you tell everybody that book that you were reading and kind of touch on it again, because I know you did during the spouses show also. But
yeah, because I'm like, I'm that kind of person who like sees a movie that's good and then I'm like the only person that's ever seen it and I have to tell you all about it, even though I was probably the last person to actually read this book. It's called Extreme Ownership by Jocko Wilkins and Leaf. I can't remember his last name, but they're two Navy SEALs, and I did it before. I was like extreme ownership, because it's all about if you own your business, everything is your fault. Everything is your ownership. And if you can't take that extreme ownership, then you're never going to build up your employees. It's never going to change in any way. And so with the culture side of things, we were talking about how if we have an employee that we haven't explained our expectations to, is newer and just thrown in and doesn't have clear protocols or goals, and they're failing, that is not because they don't do a good job. That's not because of their skills. That's because you haven't told them how, what, why, or given them those expectations almost written out, right? You can talk all day, but we always say if it's not written down, it never happened. So
yeah, because I feel like as I'm slowly letting go and doing all the things with Steph's books, I feel like a lot of stuff is in my head. Mm-hmm. Like I have like the whole company in my head.
Yes.
And then trying to convey that to my staff, and then the way that they learn is different than the way I learn. and then the notes and things, like it's like they don't like always remember some of the notes.
Right.
So then I'm like, oh, I have it all up here, but that's just because I'm crazy.
Well,
So
that's 'cause you could run the whole show, right? You could. You don't need employees, but you also would have to stay very tiny.
Mhm.
And you're going to hire people and you're going to find that they do things better than you, right? Like I once heard, like, if you're going to own a business, do the things you love doing and pay somebody to do the rest. So find somebody that loves doing that other part of it and can do it better than you, because it's just going to be another strength that you can build onto that culture, really, that reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some
Leaf Babin?
Thank
Oh,
you.
there you
God,
go.
I was like wanting to say like Bilbo
Yeah.
Baggins or something. Yeah.
So what are some things that you kind of took from previous life of
Hmm.
the office cultures or workplace environments that you like that you implemented in your own business?
That's a good question. So my past life, I was an art teacher in Chicago public schools. So office culture was interesting because there's a lot of people. When you're working in a high school, the teachers become like high schoolers behind the scenes too. And so, we were talking about kind of the toxic people, there's like all these little categories. Like there's the toxic people, there's the cheerleaders, there's the the overachievers, there's the ones that are just there for the paycheck, all those things. And so from that, I just realized like I should be just focused on what my job is, which is the kids, right? That's my main goal, is to make sure they're being taken care of and they're taught and they're comfortable and they're safe and they're happy and da 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 da. And so I think when it comes to the culture, if you have those people that are dragging you down or that are not truly genuine, I think it does create, it does feel good when they go away, right? Like you were saying, like you don't have a problem. You'll cut them off at the head.
Yeah, I mean, like I've worked in several different environments over my years in my previous lives, and there's always seems to be that one employee that is like the squeaky wheel. And even though they're definitely a top producing person, they bring value on as for revenue to the company, but then you have that other side where internally it's just a slow growing cancer within your culture.
Yeah.
And then it starts affecting other people's work ethics and things like that. So as an owner, what do you do? Like as a manager or a coworker,
Right.
it's a very different feeling and vibe. Like if you're a coworker and somebody is doing not good, then like if somebody's, I guess, a little bit lazy and they're able to still maintain and have their job and you're there working 15-hour days,
Right.
like why should you? Then you slowly start to
You're gonna
adapt
catch
and
it. It
get
is a cancer. It spreads.
that thing.
And like I said before, I've never regretted letting go of somebody that was like that. I've hemmed and hawed because they do a good job, right? This person's a hard worker. And sometimes when they're more angry, they actually work harder, but they're dragging us down and they're spreading it out. And the first day that they're not there, it's like the whole company is like light and breezy. It just feels good to get rid of that cancer. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's something that a previous boss or owner has done where you've worked where you're like, if I ever own my own business one day, that's something that stuck with you that you now do?
Oh.
Do you have something like that?
You share first so I can think about that question.
All right. I think so I had a boss probably, I don't know, we're gonna go 15 years ago, where we went out to lunches once a month. And we just did a mental health check-in. Because we worked in a very high-paced environment.
Okay.
It was in a call center, and I worked in a few different areas of the company. But we would just do a mental health check-in because it was only me and her in the department. And if one of us went down, it was very difficult because we were the only two people in the accounts payable department.
And but she was in charge of you, so that was kind of her initiative.
So she was my direct supervisor. Okay. The VP of the company ran our division, the whole accounting division or department. But so her and I would go out to lunch once a month and just do a mental health check, like really not talk a whole lot of shop talk, just kind of personal stuff. And she really got to know me. I got to know her. I felt like that was really cool for her being middle management with an employee, but I don't know if that really would work as an owner to an employee, because I feel like there's certain times where you get too close and they sometimes forget that you're the boss still.
And when you're in a, like, we have about 13, 14 employees. You have 2. So when you're in a smaller employee situation, where are the boundaries too? Because I'm a couch. I'm super cushy, right? Like I don't want confrontation. I don't want to tell you you're doing a bad job. I'm not good at it, So for me to have a relationship with you outside, having lunch and everything, we talk about this personal stuff. And then for me to be like, you're underperforming, you're not doing your job, we keep telling you what to do, this is not working. That may actually
make it more difficult.
I wouldn't be able to say, it would kill me inside to say it. I would be up all night the night before,
On the
hi Mom.
That's it. You gotta yell hi.
This,
Hey, Mom!
This is not my 18th show. I don't know what that means when
I
you
know.
point to the screen.
That's right. Sorry. Yeah.
But
We get in trouble if we don't,
Sorry.
give a shout out to Linda. So.
yeah,
Hi, Linda.
she gets
upset.
yeah,
Right.
all the way from Arizona.
That's
That's
right.
awesome.
She'll be in town in a few weeks.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah. So we
All
can
right.
have a
She
live
coming on?
studio audience.
she
No.
might.
Yeah,
She's been on one time before.
That's right.
that's right.
So,
That's right.
She flew in for the mom's episode, but but
Yeah, like how
Yeah.
do you create that boundary with just 2 people working with you?
I mean, I try to not be in the office all day every day,
Mhm.
so then I don't get involved in all of the conversations,
Okay.
because I know that I'll start getting invested and start getting involved in the
Yes.
conversations, and then it creates like a little bit of weirdness when you have to let them go, but
Or even like correct, like even
Right.
guide them in, not like correction. What's the word? You're
A coaching.
coaching, and it's a review,
Right, a
reviewing,
review.
critiquing,
Mhm.
whatever
Yeah.
it may be. You need that.
Yeah.
I'm the boss. Nobody's reviewing me. And so because of that, because what am I going to say, guys? How am I doing? You're doing great, boss, right?
right.
Like, or whatever. So what I did was I created an anonymous survey through like Survey Monkey, whatever the one
Yeah.
it was.
Mhm.
And it had about 15 to 20 questions just about the company culture. Things like, do you think you're paid for your skill set, your skill level? Do you have all the training you need? Do you have all the tools you need? Do you feel comfortable coming to management with issues? Do you plan to stay here for the next 3 months, 1 year, 5 years, the rest of your life, and on and on and on? And then the bottom question was like, what would you say about our company if you could state one thing? And what was interesting is I didn't let them just say like bad, 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 unhappy, unhappy. If they didn't answer in a way that they were happy with the company, I made them write a sentence about
Yeah.
it.
Why? Yeah.
And it was very eye-opening, and I was really pleasantly surprised. But it was the only way that I could get a company review of myself, which I think is a good thing to have a check on yourself sometimes too. I don't get too power trippy, but the other Turner, the not head Turner, Shuggy, he's got confidence like I've never seen anybody have ever. And so that was so it was good to see that they were happy with us, and that nobody was like Carrie and Joe, just,
So a question has come in. What is in both of your offices? What is the office culture?
Wow, like the name for it? What would you call your
what would you call
culture?
I mean, I always say it all the time on air. We're one big happy crappy family.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's what I usually go with. That's what
All
I
right.
stick with. Some days we have good days, some days we have bad days, but ultimately I wouldn't I would say I'm definitely happy with my current team, and I'm happy that they vibe together when I'm not there. So I would say that that's kind of what it is. I want them to feel comfortable enough to talk to me and give me feedback on things that they feel are good, bad, and indifferent. I'll take their suggestions into consideration, or, I'll explain to them why I do it the way I do it. And, and we kind of go from there. But yeah, they definitely express what they like and don't like.
Yeah.
I mean, because we have mini meetings. You call them tech talks, but
Yes.
we do mini meetings, and we do like a check-in in the office, and we cover
Nice.
all of that.
Yeah. I mean, I want to steal your one big happy crappy family because I don't know if we're always super happy. Our job is not surprisingly stressful, but if you didn't understand the hard work that the crew goes through, you wouldn't know how much we expect of them. We have really high expectations for these guys and girls, but they're not just expected to like clean shit, right? Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, they have to be documenting things. They have to do these equations to make sure they're drying it correctly. They have to make sure that they're mixing chemicals correctly. And if they're not doing it exactly as it should be, they're going to get reprimanded for it because we can't bill for it unless we show it in the right way. So our culture is one where they're allowed to fall apart a little. Is that a strange thing to say? Like,
No.
I've had many grown men fall apart in my office before. And I feel good that, not that they're crying, but like that, like they feel comfortable enough to come to me in a way that's like, I need a mental break. So I think that our office culture is mental health / we need psychiatric help. No, like we're a very open company in that sense. Like if you don't have your mental health, then you have nothing. And I think that that's kind of the trend of a lot of places. Honestly, you would hope right now. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of high stress environments, when I worked in construction during the summertime, our guys or teams would be working 80, 85 hours a week.
Yes, right.
And that's just the norm for them. And so once I got hired on, probably like 4 years after the company had opened, I created a employee appreciation picnic. And so I would rent out like a pavilion at a forest preserve and get like a liquor permit and insurance for the day. And I would buy whatever meats and things that the guys wanted. I would get all that stuff, and then they would bring their wives and kids, and
Bringing
we
that
would
family
have like a
important
playground and volleyball and basketball, and they would all just hang out and just decompress on a Saturday, which was pretty impressive that you could turn out that many employees and family members on a weekend
on their day off when
Right.
they like have. Yeah, and I think bringing the family in is a big deal too.
Hi Jen, hi Mike, hi Derek.
Hello.
Look at that. Look at all these people. Hello.
Yeah, no, I think bringing in the family is a big deal because especially like the guys were working 80-hour weeks or whatever. Our guys, they're on call. They work weird hours. They're home. Then they're not home for a long time. So to have the family kind of supporting them in this takes away a big stress. Like if you have a partner that's like, oh, you're working again, I can't believe you have to go out again, that just drags you kind of on the outside. So to have them appreciate it.
So again, this is In the Know with Steph and Carrie, the true turner, the head turner, as they call her at the office. Talking about office culture. We've got a couple of owners that I see have popped in for a couple of businesses. Let us know what your office culture is and what you strive for with office culture. And if you have any hurdles or obstacles of that, we'd love to know as well, which is great. But, in my office, mine is very inclusive, right? So I want the people who report to me to have ownership, right? I don't want to be a person who, it's my way or the highway, right? Because I think when you can author things and have ownership, you work differently. Now, with that said, that is a double-edged sword because now I'm comfortable. And have I put myself as more of a peer than a leader? And sometimes they think, oh, we'll just walk around the head of the department and go over here and say, hey, this, that, and a third, right? So how do you balance, and this is me asking this, I'm just curious, how do you balance that kind of openness or need for authorship, that and not necessarily be a whip cracker, to have them still understand that, hey, there's still a pecking order here.
I mean, when I was a man, like in middle management before, I told my staff when I hired them that I will be as loyal to you as you are to me.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, shit rolls downhill. And I know that if I look bad, then that means you look bad and they're going to get rid of you before they get rid of me. So that's when we implemented the right on top of that rose policy, which if the owners would call
Yeah.
and they would call in to pretend to be like a client or
Okay.
something, or they would ask a question. And if they didn't know the answer, they would just say they would just write a note down. So like if an owner called and asked them to handle something, whether they knew how to do it or not, they always were like, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. Give me like 30 minutes and I'll get right back to you with that. And then they like, Steph, so and so wants this and this, and I'm like, okay, this is how we do it. Then they called the owner back and be like, okay, this is what we did, here's the notes, here's the information. So it made them look like a rock star, but it also made me look like that I trained them properly.
Right.
And they are right on top of it. So we took the line from don't tell mom the babysitter's dead.
Oh, I
Right.
was like, where's that line from?
So that's what we did. And
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
anything happened where there was if they had a hiccup or something on a work order or a bill review or something, then I kind of fell on the sword as the manager and protected them from the situation.
Yeah.
So it was a two-way street. And as long as they were loyal to me, I protected and made sure that they were.
So they had a respect
handled.
for you, though.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
I saw them and like,
Right.
I mean, like, I even ran into one of them randomly in Rosemont. We were Rich and I were going to a birthday party, and I ran into one of them in a parking garage, and I hadn't seen him in years, and he still introduced me as his old boss, like, and
Aw.
whatever, and I hadn't seen him in years.
So you made a good impact. But I mean, Ken, I think that like with that whole like going around you kind of thing, what I had to start doing, because I said I don't like the confrontation and I do want them to have that
Right.
inclusive, that's a great word for it. Like when I was like the open, like, mental health lifestyle of whatever we do at our space, but it's inclusion in the sense of you have ownership of yourself and of this company because you're the ones out there.
Right.
I only shovel shit when I have to, right? Which is like 3 times a year. That's when I do it. And I like doing it to
Thanks, Jo.
get the perspective that remember how hard it is to do,
Sure.
right? So you're there, you're in that suit and that respirator, you can't breathe, you're sweating, and the homeowner's watching you, and your project managers are checking to make sure you're doing it right. So what do you need? So what I found is that I've started to let go a little of the manager side of things. I'm not a manager, I'm an owner. So I shouldn't be reprimanding. You can come to me with any concerns. You can come to me with ideas. We all collaborate together with our tech talks or whatever. But if there's an issue, my project managers are the ones that are handling that with the employees.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are correcting, reprimanding, applauding. And if there's something great to be done, like I will shout it out to the rooftops. I will do whatever I can, but I'd rather be the good news and like the rewarder than the reprimander.
Well, I think you touched on a good thing that as the owner, you need to take a step back and allow your managers to manage.
Yeah.
And you as the owner need to stand behind your management team. And if they have a roundhouser coming to you, you need to refer them back to their actual manager.
And I'm Josh and Phil are project managers, and they can attest to the fact that like I want to solve problems. So if the guys don't want to hear an answer from they don't want to work all day, so they're going to call me and tell me why they shouldn't. And I'd be like, okay, that sounds good. So I had to start, when the crew would call me, start saying, I don't know, did you ask Josh and Phil? Like I had to just stop, because I was not creating the culture that we needed on the field of that hard work and like the get the job done. I was like, oh, honey, like it sounds hard. Like you guys should go home for the day. And then Josh and Phil were like, why the hell did you do that? I don't know why I did it. So I've really let go, but it's hard to let go. It really is.
So was there something at a previous company that you worked at where you're like, there's no way that I would ever put that environment in my thing. Because I had a boss, an owner, that never respected middle management. So it was like, why do I even have this title?
Mhm.
Because you're just going to let the employee go around and then they don't respect me. They don't listen to me. They don't work for me. But then if they mess up, it's my problem.
Mhm. So because I was a teacher, our boss was like the principal, but not really. Our boss was really the education system and standards. So it just it wasn't the same. We
No.
were a cog in a system where we were expected to do these certain things and check off lists. Like it didn't work in the same way,
Yeah.
So I can't honestly say I ever had a boss. I must be losing my mind because I don't remember like the jobs I've had. I've worked at a restaurant where Joe worked, and the boss was either really great or like a real ass hat, just in general. And then I taught in schools. So I have not a lot of experience, so I'm just kind of doing it my own way. But I lost my train of thought. So yeah, but I relate it back to like teachers I had in school that I thought were really great because they empowered you, right? They made you feel like you were smart, like you were important enough to say something. And so I try to do that, I guess, I just have to go back to the teaching roots of what I have and like what inspired me in that sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, we have a question. So what is something, what is your thought and feeling on like downgrading a promotion? What's your thought on that? Because I feel like that is something that is very much talked about with a lot of small business owners, where they promote somebody or they develop a new role for somebody to expand the company, and then they're like, oh gosh, maybe I didn't put the right person in that space. Like, do you think that firing is the way to go? Or do you think you could actually successfully demote somebody without creating bitterness?
We've only done it once, and we did it successfully because the employee needed to step back and take some personal time. So it was the solution that we were all looking for. Take your time. You're going to go back down to here. You can do this again. We know you succeed at this. And when you feel ready, we can revisit. So that was easy. I don't know. I think you would have to let go of them, right? I mean,
for me and like what I've seen, I would probably end the relationship. I don't know, unless there's somebody out there that knows the secret sauce to it. I don't know if there's a successful way to demote somebody, and then if you demote them and then you leave them at that upgraded pay scale,
can you take money away from someone?
Well, technically you can,
Yeah,
but I don't know what's going to happen to their performance, and then will it impact everything?
So run the scenario by me again.
So what is your thought and feeling on demoting a person? Like if you put somebody into a management role or a lead role, or you develop a role for that person, but then after seeing them do it, and do you think that you could successfully demote them, or do you think that you would have to cut them loose?
Well, it depends on, and I've done it both ways in my life. So it really depends on the individual and the conversations and coaching that you've had along the way, right? So the demotion is, hey, we moved you up too soon. Now is not the time. Here are the instances that we've talked about over the last 6 months or a year, or however long it was, and but we still think you're very valuable. We just moved you too soon, right? And the person was like, okay, and didn't have that cocky attitude to say, oh, well, screw everybody, I'm still going to be the boss, right? And this is in the banking world, so it's a little bit different, right? In there, and then there are people where you're trying to demote and have that, and then you got to play. Am I going to play? Am I going to let you go? Or I'm going to make it uncomfortable enough to let you walk out of here. So because of unemployment and blah 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 blah, right? So it all depends really on the individual and where the individual is in their life and are they buying into your culture,
Mhm.
right? Because if they buy into your culture, they'll say, yeah, you're right. This wasn't for me.
Well, like if you demoted somebody, would you cut their pay or would you
Oh,
leave
yeah.
them at that? Yeah, you
Oh,
would.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
they didn't like mutiny.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
No.
I
well, then
mean,
they must have
could
realized
always-
that they were in
right,
over their
they
head
knew they were in
too.
over their head.
Yeah.
And I think maybe this is the lack of confrontation that I want to have in life, but sometimes if we kind of shimmy somebody up too quickly, we'll just leave them there and then give somebody more above that, like let somebody else step up and be like, the co-leader of the, presidential
Yeah.
association of doing great club, so sometimes we just need to put somebody else in charge of them a little, which I don't know if that's the solution either. I mean,
well, Derek Hartman says that he thinks that you could successfully demote someone if they realize it wasn't the right move for themselves. Yeah.
And that's where we were. And the employee was relieved, I think, in the end.
Yeah.
So, and is thriving where he is, and in a different kind of title, right? And so he's doing different things and he's doing better than he could have possibly done before.
And,
so it's
and
I've never demoted.
Yeah. And so what you don't want to do is play the good cop, bad cop. Listen, I think you're doing great. Joe doesn't think so much. So I got to go with Joe on this.
I've been doing it all along.
Right.
When I worked in construction, I always had to be the bad cop.
Yeah.
But I wasn't an owner then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting being the owner. Like it all it's extreme ownership. It all goes back to you in that sense.
Of course, you're listening to In the Know with Steph and Joe right here, 21.6 Annette. And this is In the Know with Steph and Carrie today. Just doesn't rhyme so well, but brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Epic Media Inc. When you are truly authentic, there can be no competitors. With the continued growth of technology these days, it is essential that you have an effective internet marketing strategy in place for your business. Whether you need a custom website designed or help integrating your social media accounts to your business marketing program, give them a call, 866-207-7397, or go to epicmediainc.com. And of course, you'll see it right over the shoulder there of Carrie, Restoration One, 847-264-4664. And Steph, if they want to get in touch with you, they do what?
Steph Conley, 847-942-3004, or they can fill out our pricing calculator at stephsbooks.com.
Boom.
And so another thing for creating the culture, what is your thought and feeling on reviews? Do you do reviews for your employees?
Yes.
And how often do you guys do reviews?
We try to do them twice a year. We do them. We we also do SMART goals. Do you know, like it's a simple, or what is the SMART goal acronym?
Measurable, attainable, something,
so that they can come up with their own goals. Because I have employees that have been with us for going on 3-4 years. Christine's been with us for 4.5, almost 5 years. We for only being around for almost 5 years, we retain. And so I've watched some of these guys grow up. Some of them started when they were 19 with us. So we do, and we do focus on what they need to work at. We really are, we're not raising children. I don't want to say that, but we really are trying to create good citizens of America, so to speak, because I will not let somebody go into a house of a client who is already in distress and treat them poorly. I will not let them go in any way that shows any disrespect, any sort of lack of professionalism, anything. So if you do nothing else and you have that, we can work on everything else. And so we do, basically. There's like Joe's favorite thing is like the 10 things that take no education to, I'm going to botch what it is, but that create a good worker. And it's like being on time, attitude,
safety third,
like there's all these things that you don't need training for. You're almost born with it, or you want to be good peoples.
Right.
So that's where we are with that.
And as a former customer of Restoration One, absolutely fantastic experience.
Thank you.
And the guys were awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. You know, I always say there's like you were saying, like the front of the house, or what were you calling it, Steph? Like
The front line.
front line. And I would compare it to a restaurant where, you know, you walk into a restaurant and the hostess seats you and it smells amazing and there's music playing in the background and they take your order and here are the specials and you give the cooks the ticket and they're swearing and cursing and things are flying all over, plates are breaking and they're like, why the fuck am I here? No. And then you bring the plate out, here you go, you know, Miss Conley, here's your, would you like some Parmesan cheese on that? And you smile and you walk back in, you know, they can't see the back because it's always crazy in the back, right? But it has to be extremely smooth, professional in the front.
Unless it's Hell's Kitchen.
Well,
Oh, yeah, that's
yes.
true.
Well,
And
Like,
thanks
especially
for
for
listening, Gordon. Talk about culture.
it's my culture. What the fuck is this piece of shit? You know, like
So like, I feel like you and I both are very direct people.
Mhm.
Have you had to tailor your responses?
Apologize to my employees for being an asshole. Yes.
Like, 'cause-
yes, I have actually. Well, yes.
I mean, like, because we have, like, I've told my employees, like, we're not allowed to cry in the office. Like, if you have to
Oh.
cry, you have to go into the bathroom or go in your car. We're not
Was
allowed
that
to.
like a joke or what?
No,
like
serious.
there's no crying in baseball. Like
Yeah.
you were like,
Nope, serious. I don't. I
wow.
can't. Like, I
Okay.
can't. Like, it makes me instantly uncomfortable when
No,
people cry.
I don't mind them crying because they do cry to me sometimes.
So,
and it's
like,
okay.
well, you have a whole different
I have a whole
animal.
different culture there. You know?
but yeah. So with you being so direct, have you had to tailor your or like I don't know, figure
I'm
out a way to
trying.
make something fluffier?
Yeah, I try constantly. I've accidentally looked at an employee and been like, what are you wearing? You can't look like that in front of my clients. Like, what, you need to change. And all the guys are standing around looking. And I'm like, as it's coming out, I'm like, oops. I mean, you know, and I apologize. And what I meant to say was, you need to be presentable. You can't have holes in your pants and da 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 da. Why? What the hell are you wearing? You know, like I became like my mom when I was 16. You know, and so, yeah, I have to take my foot out of my mouth a lot. And somebody said something to me today that was really interesting. You always throw up, not throw down, as far as when you have issue or when you're not happy with something or you're not succeeding at something. You don't tell anybody that's working for you, right? You can talk to your management about it, but they cannot know how upset or how derailed you are at the time, right? So I think that becomes a part of it too. Like you really do have to put on like your big boss pants almost.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the owner of the company I worked for
Mhm.
previously called me a "see you next Tuesday" in front of the whole team of people. Like,
which would mean what? Like, oh, okay, I get it. Okay, sorry.
And so yeah, so that's what he called me
Hmm.
in front of the whole team of 50 people.
Okay,
And
that's not okay.
and I had to stand there and kind of
right?
like I don't know, I had to like diffuse the situation. He was really mad about something,
Mhm.
and then I said something back to him, and then he called me that in front of the whole team. So I know that because like when Rich also first started working at that same company, we
Mhm.
worked together, and him and I were in very conflicting roles
Mhm.
as managers, like what he was responsible for and what I was responsible for, and there was a lot of gray overlap. So
Mhm.
sometimes
Were
like
you guys together at the time?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
him and I have worked together. Well, I guess if you count Steph's books,
Mhm.
and then the company that I worked for previously, where she's still at,
Mhm.
and then 2 companies before that, we also worked together.
Okay.
That's how we met. So we worked together like a lot.
Mhm.
And having that dynamic where we're husband and wife, but then we're also like working together.
Yeah.
Like at Steph's books, it's very easy because Rich isn't
You're not
super involved
working
in the day
You're
to
doing
day.
different things,
Right.
right?
Like
You're
him and
doing-
I have a very separate roles.
right.
Like
Same
we're
with
not
Joe and I. Yes.
involved in the day to day. We also don't see each other every day at the
Mhm.
office. You know, he's got his full-time job. But I mean, like there were situations like where, for example, a vendor came and I worked in construction, so it was a predominantly male environment, and as you know.
Yes.
And so a vendor came and we were trying to develop our own line and our own product line, and we needed to purchase an agitator, which
Okay.
I'm sure you know what that is. It vibrates and
It
shifts.
agitates.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the guy in front of Rich kept saying like, "Oh, well, you know, vibrating," and looked at me and like would giggle.
Right.
And so like at that time, like Rich had to like like maintain like this is like
Right.
my coworker and not my wife, and just
Mhm.
let me handle the
Yeah,
situation
right.
and things like that. And that kind of came up a lot, like, or like I told my previous boss, like, for example, like I know we were talking about in the green room a little bit about sexual harassment and
Mhm.
policies and things like that when you work with you know, an
Yeah.
environment where you have men and women and you know, and everything that you have going on in general,
Mhm.
that you have to be careful with your choice of wording sometimes. And some of the field staff that I had in construction would say certain things, and I'm like, if you guys ever hire like a real lady, you
A
guys
real lady.
you guys would never be allowed, like you guys would get sued so fast, like
Well, we do have sexual harassment training once a year. And another part of our company culture is I will not tolerate any sort of discrimination um or any sort of, what's the word, like harassment or judgment like that. I don't want to know what your racist, bigoted ideas are. If you guys want to talk about it on the car or somewhere else, it better never ever come by me. And I didn't realize, okay, I hate the term, like, oh, they're like dudes, right? Like whatever, they're going to say stupid stuff. I don't care. Like, don't say it by me. One of our bathrooms, I don't know if you saw it, but it has a little like sign that like the men women sign,
Mhm.
but it has like a picture of a man, a woman, like a Viking, like a half man, half woman, a lizard, a witch, a ghost, and it's like, don't care who you are, just wash your hands, right? And I very much, that's part of our culture is, do not make somebody feel uncomfortable for their choices or what they look like or who they are or how they were born. And I never really thought about it, but Joe was like, dude, these guys, they are like clean for you. And they're not that clean. Like they're still inappropriate, but like they're appropriately inappropriate, And so I created that because we did have to let go of somebody who was just didn't have a beautiful mind. I'll say that, like he was an ugly person on the inside, right? And so that was a cancer that we let go of, and then all of a sudden we were like, okay, we can be accepting of all other people's here. So
I mean, we had to file a work comp claim because a guy threw his back out from lifting something because a client walked by in a bathing suit and he threw his back out, and we had to file work comp. And he came into my office and he's like, I messed up my back. I'm like, well, how, whatever,
Yeah.
and I'll file whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, so and so's wife walked by and blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay. I'm like, we're just gonna edit that. And be like, I'm like,
pretty lady made me do something impressive, right? Yeah. Oh Lord.
yeah.
Like,
So it's just like I want people to feel comfortable enough to joke around and have a good time. But yes, there are limits in things, because working in construction, one of my office staff, he was he is gay. And so one of the guys, like, I don't know why, but just would make these like really awful jokes when he'd come in the office, only when that particular person was there. But then one day he kind of just snapped back at him and said whatever.
Really?
And it all worked out fine. I mean, it all worked out cordial in the end, but it makes me anxious.
Yeah, it makes, like, don't do that. This is the second time I'm going to say it, but don't be an asshat. Like, just be a kind person, right? Because and plus us, we're going into everybody's homes. So you could be, part of the LGBTQ plus community. You could have, different races in your lifestyle. You could have disabilities or families with disabilities. You could have all these things. So don't you dare let it even slip in the shop, let alone at somebody's house, because that I would just, how do you come back from that? As an owner, it's not me saying it, but I have that extreme ownership. So like, I have to make sure that is taken care of on the spot.
Right.
Another little company culture thing that we do is, and I was really kind of surprised by it. I don't know why I did it, but I think a few of our guys were not performing the way we know they can. And we know that they need to be built up, right? For whatever reason, everybody should be patted on the back and told they're doing good at certain things. So I printed out a piece of paper that had all 15 of us on it, a name and then a little space. And I gave it to everybody and said, you have, 40 minutes. I want you to write something great, strong, wonderful about about everybody on this list. If you don't work with this person, you can skip it. I said, you don't have to write for me and Joe or anything. And you just just tell something that makes them wonderful to work with, something that they're really good at, something, whatever. Don't be like, they're really fun to party with, like make it constructive. And they wrote the most wonderfully eloquent and surprisingly personal things about each other. And
That's
these are
really
all
cool.
like dudes, like, they're all like 20 to like 30 years old. And it was, and then I like typed them up so nobody could see who did what. It was anonymous again. And I read them, and you like would look around while I was reading about the other person, and they were like, you could feel the beaming on them. So it was, I think that's kind of like the teacher in me maybe a bit, but they need to know that they're really good at certain things, even if it's just this person doesn't let anything like get to them. Everything rolls off their back and they're always in a sunny mood, right? Like maybe you're not the best at building containment and understanding the calculations of dehumidification, but maybe you are wonderful with customers, right? Know that and own that right there. So
Well, that's a really cool idea. I like that.
It was a good one.
That's like a really interesting team building exercise. Do you guys do anything else for team building besides?
Yeah, like we do a couple dinners a year. We do a big family, like you said, with when you did the big park, like you rented it. We do a big family party once a year. We take them to the Blackhawks game. We try to take them to the Blackhawks game once a year. We try and do that kind of stuff every so often. Take them out, treat them. They work hard for us.
Yeah,
we would be nothing without them. Joe and I couldn't run what we're doing right now without them. So we try and then we have the tech talks every Monday. And so we'll do things like, we'll do like mock trainings where I'm a client, and one time we like pretend we like set up a flood, right? So we put like tape around to be like, this is where the water is and stuff. Cause we wanted to
at your house?
No, we flooded our house. Yes. But no, at the office. And, we wanted to see what would happen under pressure with them. We know they know their stuff, right? I was the client, and I put on yodeling music and started dancing around them just to throw them off. And they were thrown. I mean, they couldn't get their job done. They couldn't get anything done. And they were frustrated with me, but it was a good moment to be like, dudes, just chill out, like relax. Somebody's going to yodel around you at some point. Like, it's all good, buddy. Like, it was really funny. It was a good day. Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't because like this year, because we had hired 2 people originally, and then one of them didn't work out. And then like the holiday season came around, and then I told Rich, I'm like, well, should we just give like a Christmas bonus or or a holiday bonus, or do we like do like a dinner or something? I'm like, but that might be weird because like
you guys, like
it's like us as husband and wife, and then like this one employee who is younger, and she doesn't,
and she's great, by the way.
Yeah,
she's really great. She's put up with a lot for me, so I appreciate her. Sure. She's doing a good job.
So I'm like, that would be weird, like the 3 of us going out to dinner, like that's weird.
So you just give her a little gift.
Yeah. So I'm like, and but now that we have 2 employees and it's like a strong thing, like I think that maybe we're gonna try and do something together, like whether like it's like axe throwing or
axe throwing is so fun.
I know that you guys have like the bay at Top Golf, or like something to do that. Like, so Derek Bear with Gold Shield, he puts his mission statement is actually printed and lettered, like professionally lettered on his wall in like in their office.
Do you know what it is?
Like for word for word?
No, but like,
but
is
I'm just
like
saying,
because I've wanted to do something like that.
So like I'm sure Derek, I think he's listening.
What is it, Derek?
But I know that he puts it up there. So this way, then when you're interviewing, he's sitting like there, and then the interviewer is like looking at the mission statement and expectation and everything. I have not created a full-on mission statement. Like I don't know how to articulate it. Have you guys created one, or you have like kind of bits and pieces?
I've started a few. We've started a few. We've tried to work on it. Life. All the excuses. Insert excuse A through Z. But what I have been saying lately is my favorite new saying is that repetition is reputation. Like repetition equals reputation. And I think that says a lot. Because it can go both ways, right? You don't do a good job a few times, people know. People are going to remember. You do an exceptional job, same thing. So I have to pull up like mission statement 2017, 2018, 2019, scratch that one out. But I do want to do something like that. What I just did is I just took photographs from the past 5 years of us working, volunteering, going out together, this and that. And I printed out like 60 photos, and now we're going to make a picture wall in our office.
Mhm.
So that, and it's all of everybody, it's the girls, it's our kids, it's me and Joe, it's the employees, all that. So
Quality and integrity is the mission statement for Gold Shield. Yeah.
Quality and integrity. Oh, so that's not too long. Yeah. If you're going to put it in like vinyl, like in lettering, it can't be too long.
Yeah.
Right? Because otherwise the interviewer is going to be like, like going,
like reading the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'll take a picture of this and read it on my way.
Yeah. It needs to be short and sweet. Right. But, so I want that because again, I want to build that happy, crappy family of inclusion. I'm going to just combine both your work environment cultures into mine. Stolen.
Well, the interesting thing too is I had an employer who had us do our personal mission statements, right?
Mm-hmm.
Said, what is your mission statement as a person? And a lot of people are like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
How would you present that to your employees? If you had,
there's Derek now.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out what your mission statement was, Derek.
Yeah. I guess it's you talk about your mission statement, but hey, everybody's an individual here pulling together the same way. So what's your mission statement? So that we know how we can work together or build or something. I guess I would form it that way. I forget how they did it.
Yeah.
But it was an exercise. I think it was exercise of managers, I was in a manager training or something. And they were like, what's your personal mission statement?
Because now I want to do that. I want to make the guys sweat. Yeah, I do.
Like what?
I expect a lot from them as far as that kind of stuff. And I want them to know that they're not just like workers, laborers, no, like you're doing big things for big people. They're changing people's lives sometimes, the way they handle stuff with, this wasn't like mold in an attic, which is not fun, but a fire or a crime scene cleanup, these are big deals to some people. And so I want them to know that they're a big deal. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What does Derek say? Oh, the core values is what he has on his, that's what you have on your wall, right, Derek? Is your core values? Yeah. That's another thing that we haven't really touched on the office culture is the core values. I feel like that's that all goes hand in hand, and that's kind of like it's
a whole nother thing. We did an exercise. There's a book called Traction that kind of takes you through the whole mission statement. Every truck and every room is the core values. Yeah. Thanks, Derek. And so it walks you through the mission statement, your core values, your personal, all the things. And I filled it out, and I should go back and read it so that I know what I'm
what you're trying to say.
Practice what I preach. No, yeah.
Do you oh no, I just lost my train of thought. I shouldn't have ate that cherry.
Too good. It just went right to your head, huh?
Yeah. I totally forgot now what I was gonna say.
No, he's just going out. He got a lot of them.
What does he say? Take the greed out of what makes you follow employee-focused company.
Take the greed out and it makes you follow employee-focused company.
I would
I don't
say
know what that means.
I don't know. His hair is cut a little too tight right now.
See, he has a hat on. Probably he didn't let take it off. And
he shaved his shaved his head for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, that I saw that. That's so cool. Yeah, very cool. But
so how do you feel about because I did the Habitat for Humanity with Restoration One and the Santos Agency and who else was there? There was a bunch of us there.
It was cool. It was
and Number One Plumbing was there, but now they're in
Yeah.
Tennessee. And so do you guys incorporate things like that with your employees? Do you give them the option to participate, or do you force them to participate, or strongly encourage? I should say. Not force.
As a company, I will pay my guys, but they will be doing the community service. Like they're doing it during working hours. So we adopted a road and carry. They clean that. it's not optional. They're just doing it like as part of their job. They're getting paid. Next week, we're going to clean animal house shelter, just disinfect it, those kind of things. We haven't done anything like the Habitat for Humanity where it's like, come out and do this. We more are as a company doing the good, and we're letting the guys, we're donating them in a sense. Is that bad? Like, I don't know if that's a bad thing to say. Like we're donating our services. So, we'll clean the cop cars. We do all the good things. Right now we're trying to figure out how to help them, like a domestic assault victim in the best way possible. Like I want that, so the culture is more, the company is a good community outreach, wonderful place where we help people every day, and we try and do a little extra for those who need more. And they can be proud to be a part of that,
Yeah. Coming down to the last 5 minutes, do you feel, or what does Derek say? It says, core values take the greed out of the owners, making sure you follow core values to make it an employee-focused company with quality and integrity.
Got it. So that's the purpose of the core values.
Okay. Now I get it.
Okay.
But so with the culture that you and Joe have created, like, I know that both of you are very like fun and approachable people.
We're amazing. Yeah.
But I feel like also you guys have that business side where you really, really take a lot of pride in the product that you guys produce. And so you have to have those quality people. And it sounds like Kent's testimonial would adhere to to that you guys have expressed.
Which is why we work hard, play hard. We do go extra and we do all that, because put on your work hat and then take it off and, drink one with your buddy, whatever it may be, like, so we do have that. Do you think that you're going to have your crew volunteer for things, or what is your, like, do you know what you'll do with the Habitat for Humanity stuff, going back to that?
Yeah,
Strongly
we'll do it as a team.
Yeah.
I know that like one of the two of my team prefers to be behind the scenes if possible. So we did for kids in need of McHenry County, we donated reindeer candy canes. So she helped and made like 200 candy canes for the kids for Santa to give the kids a candy cane after pictures.
Right.
So that's something that we did.
The company culture of like creating something to be proud you work at there, because you're doing more good. It's about creating pride in your company.
Yeah. So we.
Oh, thanks, Mary. That's so nice.
Oh yeah, Mary's used you too.
Yeah.
At her former house.
Yeah.
Restoration One has amazing people. That's what Mary Shep says. For any of those listeners not watching us on Facebook or
who
YouTube.
Don't know, we do. They're everything. Like Joe and I are just like, we're just kind of like, fielding it out and doing our thing at the top. But these guys have created the ability to have a good company culture. I wouldn't have anything without them, honestly. So,
yeah. Would you guys, as you guys expand and grow, and then you start developing all those next tiers of management?
Yeah. More tiers. Yeah.
How far removed do you think you and Joe would eventually get? Like, how many layers of management do you think it would take to reach you guys at a point?
I think Joe he's already up on the island. I think he'd be up on Beaver Island all the time and be very happy to let go. I think I can't let go. I really like what I'm doing. I really like being in front of the crew. I like being more operational. So I would still want to be in the office every day. Yeah. And is that the micromanager in me, or just the love of what I'm doing, or both? I don't know. But
so I guess a follow-up question to that is, what value do you put on as an owner being able to do almost every single job within the company? Like you said that you've gone out on job, on site, and done, X, Y, and Z. But you also manage the internals of the office.
I think it's important to understand it all. Like I said, it's good to go out and see how hard they work, but it's not. But I just want to know. I don't want to be called upon to do it. Right? You want to just be able to understand it. It's for the purpose of being in somebody else's shoes. What
Right.
about you? Because you really do have a smaller thing going. So
Um,
at the moment,
I 100% will always be the person that will never let
you can't let go
the
either.
inmates run the asylum.
No, you can't let go.
Like, I have to know how to do every single
Yeah.
job, whether it be cleaning and scrubbing the floors of the office, to handling a sales call,
totally
to
agree.
handling a client, to
Mhm.
handle whatever. Like, I want to be able to fulfill each of those roles, not only as a control freak, but
Right.
also as
This is your circle.
a
You wanna
filler.
run- Right. What if somebody leaves, right?
Like,
This
if
is
somebody
your
leaves,
company.
I don't want to feel that
Right.
stressor as an owner. I guess thanks for tuning in. And what does my mom say? Do you
You incorporate the kids into the
Oh,
culture.
yes.
Yes.
We do. Short answer.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. Have a good weekend. We will see you next week.
Hopefully a good joke.
Stick around. 8 p.m. tonight. New episode of Dream Home Experts from the Quiet Cool Studios.